My fellow Americans and patriots worldwide, Anon's guardian angels, Judy Byington, Q Alliance military warriors, Juana Savin, Mr. Poole, Pappy Trump, and then there's Jason Q. Jason, you red pilled me 2018. Trust the plan. We have it all. Military is the only way. Question everything, my friends. What did you do to me, Q? Question everything. Patriots and Anons, you unknowingly educated me. I think saved Kaitlyn's life. Comforted me daily in the 7 years of tyrannical hell since February 11, 2019. I simultaneously went down the rabbit hole of Q and the court system in 2019 when I was assaulted for telling a cop to respect me in my home on a well-check over homeschool, lawful homeschool, superintendent approved. I said, God use me. Oh boy. My name is Jeannine Larrick. I'm the mother of Kaitlynn Marie Hunter, Ohio foster prisoner of war. She was back in 2024. Judy Byington covered our story. It's been 7 years of unlawful custody on a void amnesia case full of fraud. So therefore RICO, deprivation of rights and crimes against humanity. I want to thank you all for your love and support. It's up to us, we the people in the great military, to be the kickstand in this never-ending circle of tyranny. Kaitlynn and I have been retaliated for 7 years. She was subpoenaed but denied ever to speak in court about what happened the night that she was taken. She saw the cop attack me. But CPS couldn't afford that because she conspired a story with the cop saying that I attempted to throw something at her and I got violent, which is a lie if you look at it in the cop cam. And then they made up a bunch of other defamation. But that's how they got Kaitlynn in to begin with. And the rest is legal abuse and fraud. But anyway, the current situation, I swear under the pains and penalties of perjury and in front of a jury of my peers that the claims herein are true. Judge Stephanie Williams, she has suppressed and stricken everything that I have filed on the record in regards to being arrested on the obstruction of justice and interference of custody for saving my daughter from Dayton and abuse and neglect since 2020 through the NIAT foster care program and Journey Home foster parents that Kaitlynn went through. A lot of my evidence is on X, Save Our Children. It's the one with Kaitlynn with an Army hat on as a little girl, courtesy of Army Reserve Holly Rutherford out of Cincinnati. Love you, girl. And then my other X account is Truth in parentheses, and then Jeannine, Jeannine _ Larrick, Larrick. I can't correspond in that account because I locked myself out. And then we have YouTube at Ohio Justice Hunter. There's still more videos and evidence to be added there. A lot of my evidence has been duplicated across the United States with trusted patriots. I've had fellow patriots try to do FOIA requests, cop cams, and their computers have been hacked. I've got people that have helped me that have been retaliated against lawfully, or unlawfully should I say, but legally abused, and even one that's been gang stalked. We have deprivation of rights, crimes against humanity, denied due process, void amnesia case, fraud, RICO, tyrannical abuse of power, legal abuse to silence Kaitlynn and I. We've been destroyed by corrupt government officials maliciously with intent to traffic us into the system. I reserve the rights to make any corrections. Please get this video to the DOJ Civil Rights. My account, actually, I made a report last year after Kaitlynn ran away. I made 2 reports, one for her and one for me. They never got back with me on Kaitlynn, but they did recently at the end of January. They gave me, they said that they were going to be investigating it through the civil rights at HHS, and it's 575-638-T as in Tom, C as in Cat, V as in Victor. Pam Bondi, Cash Patel, military, White Hats, White House, Pappy Trump, Commander-in-Chief, Donald Trump. Please get this to also Facebook, Cambridge Finest. There's a lot of people that would love to come forward that have been retaliated. Guernsey County's been pulverized by this regime, and a lot of people have been exiled from their homes due to the corruption. Jessica Saxton and Tanawana Downing, Guernsey County needs you. Sorry about the ums. I've never done a video before. If I didn't have proof and evidence of my claims, I would question my own insanity. It's so insane you can't make this shit up. Sorry it's taken me so long through the trauma and the WTF moments. Every time I go through the paperwork, I find something else that they've done to us. For 7 years, I have fought. And there's no reason why my daughter should have ever been taken. And there's no reason why she should not have been returned. I have permanency trial record transcripts from the CPS worker said I never abused or neglected my kids. It's all legal abuse to shut me up, keep us separated, and keep us both silenced. Kaitlynn and I have been terrorized. We've been denied life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Our lives stopped back in 2019. And Grandma Betty was deprived of her granddaughter. And now she's dead prematurely due to medical neglect. I apologize if I squirrel. It's my prolonged trauma. Things might be out of order. I'm exhausted. Kaitlynn and I had 78 pages of paperwork that we had written when we were both arrested in August of 2025. Obstruction of justice and interference of custody for saving and protecting her for years of abuse and neglect the CPS and the state and county never did anything about. Now I'm facing an incompetency evaluation. They put me in a nut ward once because I suspected RICO and didn't trust the government, by a doctor that went through, that got charges a couple years prior as a co-defendant for trafficking of heroin. The case has been closed. Why is he still a doctor? Why are they trying to force me to go back to him? What do they got to cover up? Anyway, question everything, my friends. I feel like an ugly sitting duck. I'd rather be a swan. I enjoyed when I won my jury trial acquittal after I got out of the mental ward. I enjoined all 88 counties, the Sheriff's Department, the Sheriff's Association, the Clerks Association, Job and Family Services, and the Bar Association. So how in the hell do I get an attorney or a lawyer that's going to protect my rights and Kaitlynn's rights and give us justice? It's kind of like George Carlin. It's one big club and we ain't in it. We need rescued and redeemed. And this just isn't me. There's hundreds of thousands of us out here. We know. I feel like a prisoner of war, foreign agents out of uniform whose loyalty is not to the Constitution. Last I looked, it was like 500,000 American kids that are in foster care. Ohio has about 16,000. At one point I saw a couple years ago, they had so many kids that the kids were sleeping in the offices of CPS. They just need to quit taking our kids. Okay? Please let your voice be the thunder in our storm. Here's a picture of Kaitlynn when you first heard of Kaitlynn Hunter via Judy's story. If you look at this picture, this was taken in Dayton, Ohio from Dimensional Phases group home. But look at, this was put on a portal. She was 17 years old. This was a portal to strangers to get her in foster care. There's a picture of her when she was taken. I have an audio of a worker at Dimensional Phases group home, and this worker said that girls run away from here all the time and get raped and trafficked. This worker, Deja, had said, well, actually antagonized this other girl to beat Kaitlynn up. There's a picture of her. It's when she got beat up. She's pretty bad. This is a subpoena. I subpoenaed Kaitlynn twice to tell the court what she saw the night when the cop assaulted me and the CPS worker perjured to get custody. Both subpoenas got ignored. She never got to testify. She and I have never gotten justice from day one on a void amnesia case that was full of fraud. I'm not very smart, but I got a little bit of an IQ, 129. I like to say Abraham Lincoln's got one too. For most of my life, I've been self-employed. Interior decorator, painter, wallpaper, custom window treatments. Had my own gift store called Treasures of the Heart. My son, Joshua, he passed away in my arms about, July of 24, before Kaitlynn went missing. Josh told me, he says, Mom, fire them all, you're nothing but a well-paid babysitter. So I sold, it was too much running the store and taking care of clients. It was two separate jobs. It was too much. So I went to work for Hunter Douglas. I was the high district manager, and I had a $7 million territory, every account in Ohio that sold window treatments. But I didn't like the corporate world. So I went back to working for my little lady on Social Security that saved her money for window treatments. That was my love and passion, and I worked it for decades. And when I got falsely arrested, they trashed me in the paper on defamation. So not only did I lose my livelihood that night, I lost my children, and I lost 7 years ongoing life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. It's been 24/7 grieving. Just a little background. In 2012, the children and I were in Kerrville, Texas. The children's father was very abusive. And Max Greiner, thank you for that cross along the highway for the coming kingdom. I knew that you had a tenacious fight to get that cross up there, and that cross kept me going. I was told every day, my husband told me, if you ever leave me, I'll hunt you down and kill you. So he did attempt my murder, and a last-second miracle happened, and I'm here. Kerrville, Texas, we lived there in the women's shelter for about 4 months. Little town with a big heart. Love you guys. But I couldn't wait to get home. Get back home to where I was born and raised, Guernsey County. I always thought it was Mayberry. I guess it is until you are a targeted individual or you stand up for your rights. And then it's not Mayberry. When we got back to Texas, back from Texas, the children and I, just suitcases only. The children's father got a 1-week visitation. He took off with them for a month, and he was headed to Costa Rica with the children. I had a hell of a time getting them back. I did have a good attorney, Charlie McKnight, one of the good attorneys. Charlie had our best interests in mind. And one day at court, after I got the kids back, Charlie looked at me for the longest time, and he hugged me, and he says, "Jeannine, I'm worried about your life and your safety." The next week, Charlie went to the clerk of courts and signed off on all of his court cases, walked out of the courthouse a block to the Southgate Parkway Bridge, and committed suicide. They said he was mental, but they're saying I'm mental. So to my narcissistic ex-husband, thank you for the training on narcissists. We spent the next 6 years rebuilding from nothing, and we finally got a home. It was a 2005 home that we were redecorating, just strictly redecorating, and that was part of our homeschool project that I had a superintendent sign off on my homeschool, unschool, and online schooling. We were approved. They never had jurisdiction. They just made up lies and fraud and defamation. But since 2019, I've been fighting every day, 24/7, 7 years, to try to get justice and get my daughter home. They bankrupted me, defamed me, destroyed me. There's many times, this is my creative mind, I dream about the 80s, Back to the Future, if the time travel was real, the DeLorean starting at the Guernsey County Sheriff's Department, speeding across the Southgate Parkway Bridge, bringing Charlie back, straight into the lawn of the Guernsey County Courthouse that was built in 1881 by architect Yost. Interesting. Dave Yost is our Attorney General. A little bit background about Cambridge. Cambridge is the home of John Glenn, senator and astronaut, Hopalong Cassidy, and neighboring county over is Woody Hayes of the Ohio State University and Cy Young. But Guernsey County, it's a rural area, hunting, fishing. We get a lot of tourism, about 540 square miles and about 40,000 residents, I think. We've got 2 man-made lakes. We've got Seneca Lake and Salt Fork Lodge. Salt Fork Lodge is a state park. When I was in the mental ward, I saw in the Columbus Dispatch where they call it the crown jewel of Ohio, Salt Fork Lodge. Cambridge Finest recently spotted Mike DeWine there. So, since 2019, since my kids were taken, a small rural area, we've got 2 Guernsey County dead children that were in CPS care. There may be more, we don't know. That year, they claimed they put up 540 pinwheels, approximately. Each pinwheel is supposedly a CPS case. But I call bullshit because I know what my case was like, and I heard all the parents in the courthouses. I heard them at CPS, heard them in jail. Yeah, I heard you. 80% of the statistics are 80% of parents are accused of abuse and neglect are actually innocent. Cambridge intersects the location, southeastern Ohio. I always tell my friends, Interstate 70 goes all the way across Ohio, and Interstate 77 starts in Cleveland and goes all the way down to West Virginia. If you take the intersection of 70 and 77, I always say it's a little dot. It looks like an upside down cross, and it's a dot right there. back in April of 2025, I discovered when we had we had 4 small earthquakes. I think it's what they said, over by Pleasant City near Seneca Lake. And I discovered that we have an old ancient fault line. It's called Burning Springs, aka hell. During my jury trial, I was taken to the attorney conference room with old maps of old Indian territory maps, like a trophy on a wall. And I find that offensive because we do have Indian blood in us. But anyway, back to Guernsey County. Guernsey County Courthouse every year, on Halloween and Christmas, we get a lot of tourism there. They have the courthouse is adorned with lights and music by ABC. It's a light show by ABC Communications. Cindy Art does a beautiful job with the Dickens Village. We have life-size mannequins up and down the streets. And then something else, locally, going back to John Glenn, the next exit up is exit 69, Cumberland, New Concord. That's where the John Glenn Museum is, and it's the same exit if you want to come and see us. It has a reclaimed coal mine, and they've made wild safari there. But I can't help tie our case with Charles Dickinson's character, story of Gaspard, whose child was killed, in the way that he treated him. And the reason I say that, our great-grandfather, Gaspard Larrick, and brothers were religiously persecuted by the King of Alsace. Gaspard changed his name to Caspar Larrick, like Casper the Ghost. And his brothers fled on a ship somewhere, I think it was Ireland, and then they ended up in Delaware, USA. This is in the 1700s. All the brothers and Caspar, my forefather, all fought in a Revolutionary War and were given land by the Lord Fairfax. The lands fed the soldiers and thus the daughters of the Revolution. Caspar has a monument there. After the war, he was hunting in Virginia, and he had shot a deer. And as he was laying there dying, a Shawnee Indian warrior princess, Elizabeth Sundown, rescued him and eventually married him in the family cemeteries in Shawnee Land, Virginia. Now, in the current case at the Cambridge Municipal Court, where they're trying to charge me with obstruction of justice and interference of custody, in the false juvenile records, the courts and CPS attorney entry, it says, not once, but twice, they ask, in December and January, it says, does Kaitlynn have Indian blood? Back in when she got beat up, they didn't take her to get her concussion, but the Dayton worker Deja, I got a video of it, took her for blood work. Blood work only, denying her to look at her concussion. She had to wait 8 days. So it's been 24/7, 7 years engrossed in insane illusion of we have constitutional rights. Trust the government to serve and protect you. One more thing. Maybe somebody can comment on this. We have our family flag there in Alsace. Before we were religiously persecuted, it had a red castle. Can somebody explain that to me? This is an enjoinder. When they put me in the nut ward to take custody, silence me, and not give me an opportunity to fight for my daughter, I enjoined all 88 counties of the 17th state, the Sheriff's Association, the Bar Association, the Clerk of Courts Association, Ohio Child Protective Services per county, and the Ohio Department of Job and Family Services. I joined them all. And about 3 months later, I had my jury trial, a 3-day jury trial. The Ohio Attorney General Special Prosecutor, Brad Tomorrow, tried to put me in jail for put me in prison for 5 years because a caseworker said that I threatened her because I reported abuse of Kaitlynn. 5 years in prison. So always record CPS. Always. But I won my jury trial. So I think I enjoined her sticks. But how in the hell do I get an attorney now? Because I enjoined them all. And I do have an unrebutted affidavit and claim on the record. Okay. Like I said, I'm going to squirrel a lot. This is 7 years bullshit. But going to when you guys became familiar with Kaitlynn's story back in November 24. CPS and Juvenile Court Judge David Bennett. CPS ignored my daily calls to get Kaitlynn to the hospital and checked for concussion. 11:15, we had an affidavit of Kaitlynn, abuse and neglect in foster care filed. Kaitlynn wrote the affidavit and she sent it to us. We've got call logs and everything that she was there. But CPS and the courts, they're all trying to hide the fact that she was there, including coming up with false juvenile entries. The affidavit that Kaitlynn had written up, I had on 11/15, I had Kaitlynn on the phone. I went to CPS and we served. They locked me out, so I had to do it through the door and through the conference. And Kaitlynn was on the phone telling them what was going on. We took it to juvenile court. I put Kaitlynn on the phone to the juvenile clerk, Debbie Bennington. She took it, her affidavit. And the sheriff's department, Kaitlynn was on the phone with Deputy Cunningham. And they all got to talk to her, and we submitted our affidavit. But she was at the hospital, and the hospital confirmed on 11/15 that she did have a concussion. But the police report was on 11/7 or 11/8 when she got beat up. So she waited all that time to get confirmed for a concussion. They didn't do anything. I called CPS every day. But back on 11/15, after I submitted the affidavit on the record, CPS drove 3.5 hours across the state at 1 o'clock in the morning and removed Kaitlynn from the hospital. They took her phone away from her and placed her at Royal Roses Group Home in Dayton, Ohio, until she ran away again. Now, for several weeks, we didn't know where she was at. Workers there at the Royal Roses home, workers tried to get Kaitlynn to do tarot cards. They were friends with Guernsey County CPS, Amanda Kennedy, church groups, etc. I've got all kind of exhibits, phone calls from Kaitlynn, location records, cell phone, pictures of the Dayton Children's Hospital, the night date that she was there, police report, pictures of her, and I've also got an exhibit video where worker Deja took her to get blood work. Why? Why did they want her blood work? Now, they made her an organ donor the year before at the age of 16 for her 16th birthday. When she first went into, on 11/8, when they took her to the hospital from Dimensional Phases Group Home, they treated her as mental and they didn't look at her concussion. She was head to toe with bruises. You saw the pictures. So it was 7 more days, and thank God for Judy's readers that got them to get her back to the hospital to get that checked out. So for 7 days, she waited. Throughout her history in foster care, she was abused, neglected, mentally, physically, starved. She lost 65 pounds the year before. But when, at the end of December, or sometime in December, Kaitlynn ran away and from Royal Rose's group home, the second group home in Dayton, Ohio. There's like 78 of them. Ohio Attorney General put her picture on the website as a missing kid, but they showed a healthy 16-year-old picture that was a year old. If you look on the X account, there is one with her in an orange hoodie. You can tell how much weight she lost. I do have, sorry, I'm not good at this. I have an audio that the group home worker acknowledged the behavior of Deja. She also stated that girls ran away from this home and Dayton police do nothing. Trafficking and girls get raped when they run away. The girl who assaulted Kaitlynn had a fractured skull from being raped about a week prior when she ran away. Sky, another 16-year-old from Guernsey County, had been in the foster care system for about 6 years, I think. They said her parents died. But according to Kaitlynn, there were 4 girls in this home, and they were not doing schooling. This is a police report from when she was in Dayton. This is her affidavit that was filed on the record. Some texts that she had reached out to her caseworker, Casey Cole, that ignored her.